Residents of Lewis face a hike in council tax if the county's police commissioner has her way. Katie Bourne has asked the district council to consider allocating a further £5 a head. The commissioner says that more cash is needed to support a recruitment drive for more police and cut a large bill for overtime. Chalk TV's Norman Baker, a former transport minister, has called on Southern Rail to sack Chief Executive Charles Horton. Baker says the company has been a complete disaster and has treated the public like mugs. Lewis has suffered badly from the rail strike, culminating in a strike on November the 5th to coincide with the town's bonfire celebrations. Talks on the development of the Pells Recreation Ground and Morling Playing Fields area of Lewis and its famous pool will take place later this month. The District Council have asked for ideas from the public on how the recreational area can be improved. A major new housing and industrial complex is to be built in the North Street quarter, which borders on the Pells, and leisure facilities will need to be expanded.
As you walk up and around the corner from the train station in Lewis, you might be lucky enough to come across an Americana gig taking place. It will be going full blast out onto the street. You might be forgiven if you thought you were in the deep south of the United States, for there are the poster-plastered windows of the Union Music Store. There are instruments on display and records linked to the American folk and roots-based musical genre. The specialist store is co-owned by husband and wife team Jamie and Stevie Freeman.
So our shop is actually a folk country Americana. When we opened 6 years ago, we had the Americana bit as a bit of a get-out clause because it's more of an all-encompassing genre. So Americana is something that takes in bluegrass all the way to rock, whereas country is much more specified, and so is folk music. So the Americana is the genre that takes in all of those other things.
They opened this Labour of Love project just 6 years ago this very week. Now they attract customers from Lewis, but also from way, way beyond the county town. Union Music Store hosts in-store sessions for bands, as well as the gigs which take place outside the shop. The couple also have an independent music label featuring their own bands such as the Jamie Freeman Agreement, the Self-Help Group, and Hatful of Rain. We
kind of started the label because Jamie, my husband, who's co-founder of the shop, is a musician and had made an album, and we thought, well, where should we release the album? Well, let's make a label. So it kind of happened organically, but now we're about to release our 11th.
Stevie is chairwoman of the Americana Music Association of the UK, which began 4 years ago. The association has two major aims, which it has managed to achieve.
My first aim was to start an official Americana chart, which launched in January.
Nice.
And it's made an amazing difference to the genre, because now we have a dedicated official chart based on sales, which is fantastic for all artists in this genre, because they wouldn't fit into the album chart, the singles chart, the pop. So they kind of got lost a bit. So now they have their special chart. So that was something that I wanted to do and have succeeded in.
Amazing.
And the other thing that was a big push was our own awards, which we had our first one this February, and we've got a second one coming up in February.
Stevie visits the States a great deal in her work. So, in post-election America, does she think attitudes are changing towards American culture?
Well, it was really interesting being over there because we were kind of taken aback by the lack of people talking about it. It was almost like people didn't want to talk about it. There were very few signs in people's gardens. In Tennessee this was anyway. I don't know the rest of what was happening. Over here in the UK, we're quite political. Like we'll have artists like Billy Bragg who'll talk about these things on stage. No one wanted to talk about it. It was a very touchy subject. I know in this genre a lot of the musicians are quite liberal thinking, but then again, no one wants to upset their audience.
Thank you very much, Stevie. The last question I've got is, where do you see the store and label in another 6 years' time?
Well, obviously I see it being huge. We have And our next release is out in March, and it's a fantastic young band called Noble Jacks. They played in Lewis not long ago up at the town hall, and everyone loves them. It's really exciting, fiddle-driven folk music, and we're really excited about that because it's going to be a great release. So hopefully, and we've just moved to a bigger distributor, so things are developing.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual shop, I don't know, sometimes I think we should move to bigger premises, but I love this little building. It's quite unique, and I love this part of town, so I don't know, I think we'll just carrying on.
Lewis is a town of great variety, so it's no surprise then we have our very own piece of Americana on our doorstep. Karen Dobre, deep in the heart of Lewis, Chalk TV.
I'm here today at the Sussex Downs Sports Club, where the Lewis Ladies Seconds hockey team are taking on the Crawley Ladies Firsts. During my visit, I had a chance to catch up with some of the members of the Lewis Hockey Club, which was established over a century ago.
Well, I've been playing hockey here for 20 years, as have most of, the people I play with have been here for even longer, maybe 30 years. So it's a very strong, really good family ethos here. You start playing when you're younger, and a lot of the people obviously live in Lewis, local in Lewis, and we have lots of hockey families here where everyone in the family plays hockey.
When you come, if you've had like a really bad day, everybody's going to make you feel better, and everybody's already just like having a go at you, making fun of what you're wearing, and it's just a bit of fun, really, and you already have that smile on your face, like if you came in like, and suddenly you walk out the changing and you're like, yes, and it's really good, that's what I love Lewis for.
Lewis Hockey Club is a great club to play for. We've got all the facilities that we want, all in one place. There's free parking, there's a really lovely restaurant, bar, there's a pitch here. You don't have to travel anywhere to go and have teas after hockey. Really great social atmosphere. Always people, drinking late on a Saturday. Club's always full. It's such a good atmosphere.
Hockey's just a wonderful sport. I mean, it genuinely is wonderful. It's not really too physical, which means that people shy away from playing, but it's got something to it. It is gutsy. It's very kind of in your face, and you can really get stuck in, and that's why so many people play it. You can play it anywhere. Sticking the ball. I mean, the ball doesn't even need to be that size. It could be a football. It could be a tennis ball. It could be a ping pong ball. And use the same skills that you learned through primary school, secondary school. You're using those transferable skills. So.
After a great game, Lewis managed to secure a fantastic 2-0 win.
I think they played really well. They've had a tough start to the season, and they're quite a young side, considering the division that they're playing in. It's a tough opposition.
I think we played really well today. Actually. Yeah, we flew past each other, especially in the first half.
It's just such a community. It's a proper hockey club. This is what all hockey clubs should be like.
The ghetto rules. Number one. Ghetto.
They are number two, be sassy.
Yes.
Yeah. And they are brilliant. They're just
unique with a pre-show.
they make you laugh every week. It's brilliant. It's a fun team. And we don't argue. No. Never argue. Not on the pitch. Not off the pitch. We are quite rude. Yeah, but if you take it personally, then you're out.
This is Daniel Davis at Lewis Hockey Club for Chalk TV.
This week's Busker is Oliver Robinson from Eastbourne. What are you going to do for us?
I'm going to play an original song called The Spirit of the Bay.
Great.
Yeah, cool. empty the course. A sailor vessel making for the shore, and it's full of lost I see. Stairs empty, the abyss. Wonders was driving into. We can leave the land.
I think it's worth a quid. Today we're here at the Star Brewery in Lewis at the workshop of guitar maker extraordinaire Nick Benjamin. How long have you been making guitars?
Well, I started making my first guitar about 25 years ago. When I was a teenager, I played the guitar. I went into the library, found a book on guitar making, and I made one.
Was it very easy, your first guitar?
No. It took me about a whole year to make a guitar, just in my bedroom, basically on the table in my bedroom. And
how did it sound when you finished?
I've still got it. My son plays it now. He's about the same age I was when I made it, and he plays it. And it was, it's a guitar. It's not the best one ever.
When did you decide you were going to make guitars for a living?
I'm still not sure if I am doing it for a living, but I'm trying to. When I finished being a student, I had a job, but I decided I wanted to learn more about guitar making, not because necessarily to do it as a job, just because I was fascinated. And I gradually drifted into it as a full-time job by renting a bench in someone else's workshop, and it became a full-time job over several years. So.
And the guitars you make, which are very bespoke, do they sound better than, I guess they must do, than the ones you buy off the shelf in the shops?
Well, better is a difficult word because music is not about, it's not about better or worse, it's about taste, if you like. So I try and make the quality of my guitars as high as I possibly can in the way I'm doing it by hand. And I try to make a particular type of sound which will appeal to some people and maybe not to others, and maybe will suit certain styles of music or to certain types of performance. So I suppose I have I'm aiming at a particular type of sound for a particular type of customer, maybe.
Does every guitar sound different?
Yes, they do, deliberately so. I don't want every guitar to sound the same, and one of the things that people do is they choose all of the aspects of the guitar in order to get a particular sound. Every timbre has its own properties, and those will influence the sound of the finished guitar. That's probably most obvious to the person playing the guitar. Even to an audience member, perhaps every guitar will sound quite similar actually, but often because the player is modifying how they play to get the sound they want. So some woods are very dense like ebony, some woods are lighter like mahogany, and they will give maybe a deep sounding guitar or a more airy sounding guitar, or it's difficult to, it's like describing wine or something, silly words.
How many guitars have you made so far?
Well, so far I've made, I think it's about 166 guitars. I think that's the number, approximately. Most of those are steel string acoustic guitars, but there's some classical guitars and electric guitars. There's an electric bouzouki in there somewhere, I think, and also, a few more unusual things.
Do you know where they've all gone?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. Most of my customers tend to hang on to their guitars. Sometimes they occasionally get sold, and often the person who buys the guitar makes contact with me very frequently. So.
Tell us about this one.
This is one I'm just doing some work on for one of my customers. It's one that I made, look on the label, 2010. So this is 6 years old, belongs to a professional musician customer of mine. And this one's got my trademark scoop cutaway that I invented a few years ago, which I found out someone else had invented it after I invented it. Well, it'd been possible. There's lots and lots of people using this style now, and but I've become quite well known for it. And this is a cedar soundboard and Indian rosewood back and sides, which is quite a classic modern combination for guitars. A mahogany neck and ebony fingerboard. And like most of my guitars, it's a steel string guitar, an acoustic guitar.
Can we hear a bit?
Yeah, sure. I'll squat down here and...
So when you finally finish making guitars, many years from now, you're going to get all these people together and have a big guitar concert.
That would be nice. I thought about having a Benjamin Guitar Festival, but I haven't got around to it yet. I haven't got time. But,
The Pelham Arms in Lewes is known for its quality kitchen, but now they have another exciting enterprise brewing. Landlord Andrew Mellor and his wife Romy took over the 17th century pub on Lewes High Street in 2008. This year they launched their on-site smoker, where they make their own home-smoked produce for the pub menu. And now, 2.5 years in the making, they have their own microbrewery, Abyss Brewing Limited.
Fits in really well because, well, it's our new thing. We've been doing lots of little projects. It's like a little cottage industry, I guess, here. We're doing smoking, we're making sauces, we've always made all our food from scratch. We're not doing things ourselves, so to have beer, which is brewed on the premises, kind of adds to that. It took a long time, actually, to come up with the name Abyss, but we settled on it in the end because it kind of fits in with how I feel about life and my existential outlook. I also really like dark beers. I like taking kind of chances as well and stepping into the abyss, so it kind of worked in that way.
Andrew has a 95-litre brew kit in the cellar, and after months of trials, today he's starting a batch that will become his first commercial beer to be sold on draft and in bottles from December.
I'm just recirculating the water in the HLT at the moment, or the liquor, because the elements are at the bottom and obviously heat rises, so you need to make sure the temperature is as even as possible all the way through. So we're making coffee milk stout today, and we have crystal malt, chocolate malt, roasted barley, some treatments over there underneath, which is the base. We've got Maris Otter Pale Ale malt. So I need to combine these together now, so it's all mixed up thoroughly. Well, I've got a lot of malt now to mix in with the brewing liquor. And it's easier to get it mixed evenly so you get no dry clumps if you kind of hydrate the malt first in a bucket before tipping it into the mash tun. So it needs a good stir. I want to get the even temperature, even thickness, make sure there's no clumps of dry grist left in the mash. So in a minute I'm about to transfer the wort from the mash tun to the copper, but first I'm putting in some first wort hops into the copper, which will add the bitterness to the beer. So this is the first runnings of the wort from the mash tun. You can see the colour. You can taste a bit if you like.
That's delicious.
So that sweetness will then be turned into the final beer, because the sugars you're tasting will be fermented out with the yeast, and the yeast will eat the sugars and form alcohol and carbon dioxide, which makes the final beer.
Andrew has built up a loyal following for his excellent pub food made with top local ingredients, and soon we'll also be able to enjoy his handcrafted beers. But in the meantime, our executive producer Keith will have to make do with a pint of Badger. Chloe King at the Pelham Arms Lewes for Chalk TV.
He's been described as one of the country's unsung musical geniuses, and he's certainly one of our local hidden talents. Here's Derek Campbell. Hello, what's that? Is that your favourite musical instrument?
Well, I sometimes get asked that, but my usual response is because I don't have a favourite musical instrument. My favourite musical instrument is the one I happen to be playing at the moment.
Good answer, I think.
Okay.
Should we go through the rectangular door?
See inside. Yeah, most of it's in boxes, so you can't immediately see what's here.
recognise that?
Well, crikey. Stone the Crows, Coarse Truth, and other Cockney expletives. That is, that's a rare item from the early 70s, I believe.
From 1970?
Yeah,
yes.
It's one of the albums I did with my band.
Indeed, Egg, the Polite Force.
Yeah.
So, will you sign it for me?
That's me when I was 21. Do you recognise the resemblance?
The eyes.
That's how I was known in those days.
Great. Chorus.
The music you play is largely your own compositions rather than material you found elsewhere in the
world?
Well,
both traditional and composed, yeah.
Right. And you mentioned film scores. You've got a Harry Potter connection.
Oh yeah, I performed on one of the Harry Potter films, briefly. Yeah.
What were you doing on that?
I was playing Highland pipes and Cabal, which is Eastern European flute.
And sadly, it's time to leave this amazing world of instruments and sounds, and I go armed only with my signed copy of an Egg album.